The 4th of July is right around the corner, so today on the channel, we're going to take a look at my personal top 5 patriotic wrestling figures of all time. Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another edition of the Kyle Peterson Top 5. And today, with the 4th of July right around the corner, I figured it was a perfect time to do my 5 favorite patriotic wrestler gear figures of all time. And if you take a step back and you think about it, we've had so many figures over the years of wrestlers in red, white, and blue outfits. We've had Macho Man, many a Macho Man, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, The New Day, Sting, Zack Ryder, JBL, Torrie Wilson, Rey Mysterio, and the list goes on and on. There's so many to choose from. It's very tough to make a top 5 list, but that's what I've done. I've looked through my whole collection. I looked through briefly. Wrestling Figure Database has figures that you can look through everything on there. I recommend that site all the time. Check that one out as well. But I found my top 5. What are my top 5? This is my personal top 5. And as usual, I'm going to ask you at the end, you guys in the comments below, give me your top 5 patriotic themed gear for 4th of July wrestling figures of all time. It's harder than you think. I thought it'd be pretty easy, but once you get into it, there's probably 20, at least 20. Kurt Angle, if you count him, he's red, white, and blue a lot in his gear. You could be 30 plus patriotic outfits in the red, white, and blue colors for different figures throughout many lines over many years. But I thought we'd do one bonus one here. We always stick to the top 5, but we're going to do one extra one to start it off. And you can't, when you think patriotic wrestlers, going back to the LJN, Hasbro days, Jakks, Mattel, he's been everywhere. You think wrestling patriotic, you think nobody else but Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Unfortunately, Hacksaw did not make my top 5 anywhere, but when you think patriotic wrestlers, he's probably the first one that comes to mind. However, his gear is pretty bland for most part. It's, you know, maybe he'll be holding the flag with his 2x4, or he'll have just blue trunks on. Not really toyetic as far as the red, white, and blue figures we're going to talk about in my top 5 list, but he definitely earns a mention. And my number 1 Hacksaw patriotic figure of all time is basically a basic. There you go. How you like that? But it's his basic. I couldn't tell you what series it's from off the top of my head, but it represents his time teaming up with Demolition, and he wore the face paint, but he wore the patriotic U.S. flag as face paint. So out of all the Jim Duggans over the years, I would have to say this is the most patriotic Jim Duggan figure of all time. But he needed to have a separate mention, just because when you think patriotic, you think USA, Hacksaw Jim Duggan is who comes across the plate. But now, let's jump into the actual top 5 list. All right, we're at number 5. We're going to kick it off here with Elite 59 from Mattel, Zack Ryder. I have a mint on box one autographed edition here, as well as a loose one in my collection, as you guys know. Zack Ryder, not Mr. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, that's for sure. But he did represent the colors. I believe it was Great American Bash, wasn't it? Nope, it was not. The Broski from Long Island scored the victory for Team USA on Raw's 2016 Independence Day main event. Woo, 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 he said. But very cool, inspired gear here. I always like this one. This one really stands out. Is it the most iconic Zack Ryder gear of all time? Absolutely not. It's a moment-in-time snapshot, but it is a great-looking figure. It looks very patriotic. It really catches your eyes on a display. Very similar to the old Sting Defining Moments figure. A lot of people think it's a lot of reuse from that, but it is not. But I've always liked this one. I thought it was a cool moment in time. I would have rather had some different Zack Ryder figures over the years, but I guess this is pretty neat to have just this one-off gear displayed here. So there he is, number 5 in the most patriotic list of wrestling figures, my list, Zack Ryder. All right, we've come to the number 4 spot, and this is one I almost totally forgot about. When I was putting my list together, I'll tell you, somebody else got bumped, and it was actually that Hacksaw Jim Duggan was going to be in my list, but I forgot about this New Day. So it was from Elite Series 60 and 61. That Zack Ryder was Elite Series 59, so they were in a very patriotic mood for 59, 60, and 61. We got Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston in Elite Series 60. Big E came in Elite 61. So 3 sets in a row with Patriotic figures out there from Mattel at the time. But this New Day one is awfully iconic, awfully scene-stealing, looks great on display. I love the matching outfits between the 3 of them, and just obviously red, white, and blue personified here. You got the stars and stripes, all kinds of decorations here on the New Day. Very, very cool. Definitely warrant just the coolness of it, the 3 of them. If it was only one of them in the gear, I don't know if they would have made my list, but by adding all 3 together, having the red, white, and blue gear, you just couldn't take your eyes away from that. And I just felt like this was a cool set to include in my top 5. And out of my list, it came in at number 4. Number 3 for me is the Ultimate Warrior Walmart exclusive flashback series. You know there's no top 5 list without an Ultimate Warrior. He is my favorite of all time. And Warrior was known for a little bit of his patriotic gear, at least in the Mattel line, as we have gotten representation of this outfit in this series, of course, but also the basic series. We got him as, I believe, as a TRU exclusive in the basic single card, and then we got a 2-pack with the American flag and John Cena. That one almost made my list, but I had to go to the Elite. I had to go to this Royal Rumble era Ultimate Warrior Elite. Didn't represent the best time in Warriors matches for me. A pretty disappointing time as a little Kyle, little Ultimate Warrior fan. But Ultimate Warrior, most toyetic wrestler of all time. Different face paint, crazy gear, neon bright colors. But he went with the red, white, and blue colors here, and I think it pops. It looks great. Obviously, I'm an Ultimate Warrior fan. Makes sense for be on my list here. Hopefully, it's on your list. We'll see. We'll see when you guys give me your list. But I just went there. I almost, like I said, I almost used that 2-pack with John Cena. That is basic, but that is a very good looking pack as well. There's nothing wrong with that pack for sure. It's interesting. I don't know if we've gotten very many figures over the year from Mattel that we got an Elite version and a basic version of. There's probably been some Sheamuses and John Cenas out there. They've done that too, I'm sure. But nothing that caught my eye kind of like this Ultimate Warrior. And it probably goes to me being such an Ultimate Warrior fan. But number 3, this is a Walmart exclusive, like I said, so it was a little bit harder to get, and it was probably the hardest one to get of this series as well. Also had Yokozuna, Mean Gene, and X-Pac in it, building that SummerSlam backdrop set, which I thought was a cool feature as well. But I love this Warrior, very cool. I love the face scan here, and obviously the color is awesome and really pops on your shelf. So number 3, Ultimate Warrior Walmart exclusive flashback series. All right, we're at the number 2 spot, and we got a little bit of a forgotten figure. A Ringside Collectibles exclusive back in the day from Jakks. A lot of people forget about the Jakks Legends of the Ring line. It was the successor to the Classic Superstars. Jakks trying to put lightning back in the bottle, if you guys remember when the Legends of the Ring figures came on the heels of the last Classic Superstars set. They didn't want to lose that momentum. I wish they would have stuck with the same packaging as Classic Superstars. Maybe there were some legalities there, but it would have been cool if they would have had a very close packaging design and we could have continued on Classic Superstars. Unfortunately, that's not what happened. And the Legends of the Ring set didn't last very long. Then it became one figure in a set, like we're seeing a lot with AEW these days, with the new LJN versions coming in, the way they're going to market with stuff. So they're taking some nods from the past. But the Legends of the Ring set was a very cool set I was excited for, but like I said, did not go very far. But one we got here, Ringside Collectibles exclusive Sting. Soft goods jacket on this Ringside. It's Ruthless Aggression style figure, as you guys know, the Legends of the Ring figures were. It was really cool, and a little bit of a forgotten exclusive all these years later, the Ringside Collectibles exclusive here. I always liked the jacket, like I said. It looks a little big on him, but I think it looks all right. You got to love the face paint, of course, on Sting. Just such iconic Sting. I'm maybe in the minority. It's funny that most people like Crow Sting. When they think Sting, they think Crow Sting. That's their Sting. I am of Surfer Sting. Growing up, Surfer Sting was right there behind Ultimate Warrior for me. I loved Sting. So this represents what I love in my Sting figures. I hope with AEW having the license, we get more old school Sting figures. It'd be cool if they could touch to the past and do some of that. I guess time will tell where that goes. But this is a very patriotic figure. But then the packaging. This is probably the most toyetic packaging as far as patriotic USA packaging we've ever gotten in a figure. I would say this is it with the flag as the background. Very cool. Very awesome exclusive here from Ringside Collectibles. Here's the back. Look at that. Very, very cool. Very solid figure. This is one I need to get a loose version of. I do not own a loose version of this. It's on my long game list. I will get one day. I just don't have one yet. But this came out in 2011. As you guys know, Jakks lost the license from WWE in 2010. 2010, they jumped over to TNA. So they started making TNA figures, Legends figures, all that kind of fun stuff. But this one doesn't get a whole lot better. There's only one that beat this, and it was extremely close. But let's see, who is the #1 Patriotic figure of all time from me? All right, we're at the #1 spot. Whenever I do these lists, I always put a pencil to paper and I write it down. I say, okay, who's my top 5? Then I wander around my collection. I look around, and that's where the New Day came in. They weren't originally my top 5, but when I looked, I said, oh yeah, that one's pretty good. I got to add that one. But this one, put pen to paper, this was my #1 off the top of my head. And that's what I always say. When you close your eyes, when you think of something, if somebody says, what's your favorite Ultimate Warrior? What's the first one that pops in your head? If somebody says, what's your #1 Patriotic figure of all time? What pops in your head? I wrote that down, went through, looked around, did some research, and this one stayed at #1. This never left. I remember when this came out. I remember getting it, and I'll tell the story here in a second. But #1 for me would be WWE Mattel Defining Moments Sting. Sting is the #1 Patriotic figure of all time for me. Now, he's not like Hacksaw Jim Duggan. You think July 4th, Patriotic wrestlers, like I said, you think Hacksaw Jim Duggan. However, when I think of Sting figures, this is one of the most iconic Sting figures to me. As I was a kid growing up, big Sting fan. When he won the title in 1990, I was 9, 10 years old when that happened. It was such a glorious time. This is the gear that this represents. It was an amazing time, that Great American Bash. And I love this figure since the day they announced it. I said in that Zack Ryder figure a while back, a lot of people thought they used the same mold, everything else on that. It's actually different. But this is the iconic Sting figure for me. Said it in the last one. It's funny, Sting is #1 and 2 on my list. I would have never guessed that either, but that's the way it shaked out. When I think of Sting, I think of old school Surfer Sting. And that 1990 run for the title, coming back from injury, was a big deal to little kids like me. Very similar time from the Ultimate Warrior's rise to stardom, rise to the heavyweight title. It was just a magical time for wrestling for me, and I'll never forget him winning the title for the first time and having this gear on and all that. And I thought it was very cool this was represented in the Defining Moments Mattel line. One of the best lines of all time, Mattel. Very much a sleeper set, the Defining Moments, as most of you guys are probably aware, maybe you're not. A lot of them were on clearance. A lot of them were dirt cheap. This one included. I had a loose version that I got right when it came out. Then later on, I don't know how much longer, I said, you know what, I want to get a mint on card set of the Defining Moments. And we'll do a Defining Moments series on the channel one of these days as well. And I do have a mint and loose set of every single one. But I ended up getting this off of Amazon, which is always a little dangerous. $8.99 shipped on Amazon is where I got this figure from. But I could not believe it. This was my first representation. This was many years ago, and it happens a lot now. But back then, it was new ground. I got this in a plastic bubble mailer with no protection, no nothing. It was just in the bubble mailer. Somehow, I'll have no idea, this came to me mint. Mint in box, just the craziest thing with no protection, just in basically a mailer. Nothing, no protection. Got this mint, so I'll never forget that day when I got this one. But absolutely love this Sting. This is my Sting, like I said in the last one, with looking at the Jakks one for #2. Put that one right here, I guess. I have it sitting here right next to me. This came out at #2. This one was the clear #1. I like the looks of the figure better, the face paint's better, the outfit's better, Defining Moment packaging. This just screams off the shelf. The red, white, and blue is running strong here with this Sting. But it's really a fine figure, a must-have figure, a sleeper figure, because when people think Defining Moment Sting, they usually think of that Crow Sting that came out. This one is the best one, if you ask me. It's definitely a top favorite Sting figure of all time for me. Could be #1. I had to put the pen and paper on that one as well, but very much an amazing Sting figure that I love very much. And this Jakks one at #2. So some awesome patriotic figures out there. Like I said at the beginning, there's tons. There's over 30. Kurt Angle alone, you could count him as 30 about. I mean, Jakks made so many Kurt Angles in red, white, and blue gear. That Kurt Angle entrance grade is an amazing figure. We've had Macho Man Retrofest figure, if you guys remember that one. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, you can almost count any of his figures. He comes with a flag a lot of times. Just a lot of ways to go with patriotic wrestling figures. Deeper than you would think it is. And I figured for 4th of July, it made a lot of sense. Let's do patriotic top 5. But now I gotta ask you, what are your patriotic top 5 wrestling figures of all time? It'll be interesting. Everybody's list is different. This one's mine. You tell me in the comments below your top 5 Patriotic figures of all time. And while you're here, don't forget to like the video. You made it this far. Subscribe to the channel. We're doing a new top 5 list every single Thursday on the channel. But once we hit our milestones of subscribers, once we get to 8,000, 9,000, every time we hit that subscriber milestone, we'll do a top 10 video. So we're dangerously close to 8,000 subscribers. We'll take a look at maybe doing a Macho Man, a Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan. What are the heavy hitters that have a lot of figures? We can do them as a top 10 because there's so many to choose from. And then once we get to 10,000, we're going to do the Ultimate Warrior top 10. But top 5s every week. We'll be back next week with another top 5. I hope you enjoy. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, as like I said. Follow me on social media at SirPaul64 on Twitter, _Kyle_Peterson on Instagram, and of course, Pro Wrestling Tees. Search Kyle Peterson. So everyone, have a good 4th of July if you're celebrating out there. And if you're not, have a good day as well. So there you go. So for the whole 4th of July top 5 Patriotic figures, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.